Hi, this is another episode of Fun Ideas Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Arnold, and today I have a special guest who's probably best known, but maybe not completely known to everybody, as an Archie Comics artist and writer, but that's how I knew her originally. Her name is Holly Golightly. She also goes by Holly G. And I just learned a pronunciation of another name she has gone by as Fove. Explain that for us, please.
Well, the
And welcome to the show. I'll
how
say that
difficult it is. I can
too.
explain why I thought Fauve was easy to say. Was I studied French for a very long time, from pre-kindergarten to graduating high school. So I thought Fauve, oh, that's easy. It's an art movement, and I was watching a like a made for TV movie called Mistral's Daughter, and he named his daughter Fauve, and I thought that was cool. And the reason I had to make it up was when I was trying to break into comics, I was also making ends meet by doing children's parties. Like
Mhm.
I was a magician's assistant. The magician would dress up as Batman. I'd be Catwoman. We'd do a little skit. I'd pretend to try to eat a rabbit. Very young audience.
Mhm.
And face painting, I baked cakes in the shape of all different characters, and was doing that before I broke into comics. And then my first gig was for it was I think Revisionary Comics,
Mhm.
and first ever, and it was the bios of adult film stars.
Mhm.
So I was told by other people, and this is my first introduction to comics. And yeah, I just wanted to draw comics.
Yeah.
And I was told, hey, you better think of a name to go by.
Mhm.
So, you know, people don't know you're doing this and that and the other thing. And I'm thinking, okay, wiser people than I, because I'm new to this. So I innocently thought, oh, that's easy to say and it's cool. And it means like a mountain lion, or it means the fourths of color, and all this and all that. And then no one could say it.
Yeah, even me. So that's why I've been asking before the
I
show. Is it pronounced Fave? Is it Fave?
know. And I'm like,
Brett
oh,
Favre? I don't know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was just me, like, growing up in a bubble of art and acting and French, and thinking, "Well, that's cool."
Yeah.
And but after a while, I didn't have to do that because it came out that I was drawing these very sensual women doing their careers. And then, of course, that leaked into the industry, and they're like, "Ooh." So, but by that time, I was starting to get work.
Yeah.
And so it all timed out. So it was fine. And then I could say, yeah, just call me Holly. I
Sounds good.
didn't have to
Okay.
worry. I didn't have to have an alias anymore.
So Molly, no, just kidding. Anyway, so going back to when you went to, now I'll just read off a lot of this stuff because I actually have my
Sure,
notes here. So it says you went to Parsons School of Design for storyboarding,
I
and
did.
Mary, oh,
Marymount.
Marymount Manhattan, I can't even read college, and did a degree in acting.
Yeah.
Was that all your training for both comic books and everything you've done, or did you have any other training growing up that led you to your various careers,
Comic.
which we will go into?
Uh, well, my first year I actually spent at Bard and I studied
Oh,
filmmaking.
okay. Okay.
And that was only one semester because I am, believe it or not, when it comes to drugs and drinking and stuff like that, I'm pretty square.
Uh-huh.
And it was a pretty open school. I don't know if you know Bard College. It's known
I
for,
know of it. I don't know the details of it.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty
yeah.
cool, but there's also a lot of stuff I wasn't comfortable with. The Beastie Boys were there same time I was there.
Okay.
Um, and I was doing food service, so I had to clean up after them. They were messy boys.
Ah.
they threw bananas up into
Uh,
the light fixtures.
well, they want to
Anyway,
fight for their right to party.
they did. They didn't have to fight. They just partied. I had to clean it up. But so everything I studied, I actually, when I was in high school, I was in theater,
Mhm.
and I was in an off-Broadway show called Broken Toys, and I had the starring lead, and then I was fired 2 weeks before it opened.
Mhm.
So I didn't know I was going to college. I really thought that I would just keep doing musical theater and follow through. And then I realized, no, this isn't for me. It broke my heart. And I was like 17 when I landed the job. So I was very, again, square and innocent in a lot of different ways. And
Mhm.
I believe in the art, and I didn't understand the politics or the. So my dad's like, you're going to college. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll study things I love. And I actually never really studied acting. So I studied acting, I studied filmmaking. I love films.
Mhm.
And um, so I just collected and honed all the things that I loved in college. And little did I know, because when I got out of college, I started teaching.
Okay.
I taught pre-kindergarten at Dalton,
Mm.
and it was wonderful. But I'm really an artist, and not I love I love the little kids, but they got me sick all the time.
Mm.
And I missed creating. So I spent 1 year teaching, and then that summer I started, because you still get paid during the summer. I started building my first business, which was hand painted T-shirts.
Mm.
And so I used all the information from college, or the fashion industry, which my mother was a part of, and my father was a business advisor, and before that he was commissioner of New York. So I was always hearing how to do things, how to run things, how to make things.
Mhm.
So I started that. So I had a career in fashion for a while, and then that ended up breaking my heart too. So I
Mm.
sat there brokenhearted thinking, um, and I always go back to Joseph Campbell, what is my bliss?
Mhm.
And I remembered when I was 13, decorating my birthday cake with X-Wing fighters and TIE fighters around the sides, and Luke and Leia on the top. I remembered Star Wars and comic books and just everything I loved. And I thought,
Mm.
I love comic books.
Mhm.
So all the courses that I took in acting, like directing, um, scene breaking down, script writing, just everything there. And then the storyboarding in Person School of Design helped me. Um, and I took acting at Bard in the filmmaking. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did take acting in Bard and filmmaking. It all helped. Mark, where are you?
I know. I was turning on my fan because I go, oh, I'm going to start sweating here. Sorry. Go
I
ahead.
see, I'm a Virgo. I had my fan going
Well, I'll show
already.
my fan since that's what I was looking at. Here we go. Anyway. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted. I was trying to
No,
do that
that's okay.
subtly, but obviously. Anyway, go ahead.
I think I
Just
answered it. Why,
yeah,
why all those courses, and it just seemed to all translate when I, got
right.
work in comics about, breaking down a scene, how to
Hmm.
read a script, how
Hmm.
to read beats in a script. And
Hmm.
when I was directing at Marymount, we had directing course.
Hmm.
I would actually illustrate the script in a
Yeah.
comic book form. So,
Hmm.
because I, believe it or not, I'm a little shy when it comes to telling people what to do.
Mm.
So, um, I was like, do this, and I would give them the comic book, like
Hmm. Hmm.
here,
Yeah.
and it seemed to work really well.
Right. Now you mentioned
Yeah.
it briefly. So was the True Stories of the Adult Film Stars your breakthrough, as it were?
I don't know. Breakthrough was my
or
first job.
first, okay,
Yeah,
first job, yeah.
yeah. I met.
Amazingly, in my comic collection, because you know, when I was going through this, I go, I have some of those, and it's like, I go, I have a lot of
Oh
your
my
stuff, and I didn't put the two and two together because I didn't know everything you've done until I looked at this, and I go, oh, I have some of your tarot stuff, and I have,
Well,
you
that's
know, Archie
Jim's.
stuff,
I I
yeah,
I
but oh,
colored
okay,
I
okay,
colored for tarot, and I
yeah,
do all Jim's production and the
which we'll get
lettering.
into in a bit. But yeah, you know, it's
Sure.
like, so I'm like, you know, I know this person better than I thought I did, you know, because
Yeah, I know.
you
Oh my
know,
gosh, I
so
I'm I, it's not like I'm shy about my early work, but I always feel like I inked it with a tail of a squirrel. I mean,
mhm,
because I it was all new to me, and I'm a portrait painter,
mhm,
and sequentials have always been very challenging for me.
right.
And then to learn how to, I was learning as I was doing, really.
So those
So
original ones, those Cardinal comics and things like that, were you mainly doing just inking, or were you doing the whole thing?
no,
What were you
I
doing?
was penciling.
And okay,
It was a small company,
right,
independent
okay,
company, so you have to do your pencils and your inks.
okay,
And I got the script from Jay.
hmm
The girls would work with him, and
hmm
either he would have a writer help them orchestrate what they wanted to say, and they were they picked who they wanted to work with art wise.
hmm
And Jay always said they wanted to work with me because I was another girl, and they felt very comfortable.
Now,
So
how did they discover you, or did you send portfolios around, or knock on doors, or how did they know
no, no,
you
no.
were
Jay
around? Oh,
orchestrated everything. The editor
okay,
of Revisionary Comics.
okay.
He it was
But
his.
how did Jay know you? Oh,
Oh, I went. This was before the internet, so
right.
I had
So I go,
a
how did they know you?
portfolio.
Yeah.
My very, very first convention I ever went to, I think it was a Philadelphia one,
Yeah.
and I brought a portfolio. I believe it was pink, and I had done some drawings, and I went from table to table to different um, publishers, and I said, I'm looking for work. This is what I can do. And initially, I was a huge Crow fan.
hmm
So a lot of my work was very gothic and edgy. Vampirella was one of my
Right.
heroes growing up. And
hmm
so Jay wanted to initially do a project that was about a Native American guy who had mystic powers. And
hmm
I was like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. And so I did all these like tryout pages. And then he goes, well, we're not going to do that. How would you like to do this? And I'm like, well, it's comic book work. I'll do it. Pretty
Okay.
girl. I'm a
Mhm.
huge Frazetta fan, Joe Vampirella. You know, I know what a girl looks like. I look in the mirror.
I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Um,
and
so was there any other work at that time, or is that the only thing that's any company that said yes? Because I mean, how did that lead to like more mainstream stuff? Because it almost seems contradictory to working for clean,
Archie,
wholesome Archie, you
um,
know?
um, I guess some people may think that way. To me, this is all art, and
Yeah.
I'm
Oh, I do
just
too, but I'm saying
right.
company, especially Archie, if you go the further you go back, the more kind of stodgy they are. And it's like, oh, we can't hire you. You've worked in the adult film industry peripherally,
Really,
you know, or you have tattoos or you have pink hair or whatever excuse you want to give. You know,
uh,
it's
they,
like,
I
and
cheese
you
for
know,
my pancake.
whereas Archie nowadays, they, you know, I used to try to work for Archie and I never did on their comics, but peripherally on their history and stuff like that. But they seem to poo-poo ideas of like Archie dying, and then they did one where he died, or
Right,
Archie getting married, and they did that, or well, I didn't even think of this one, but like Archie being a zombie, you know, and things like that. You know, they
right,
weren't open
edgy,
to different types of ideas. They just want the standard, let's go to the chocolate shop and fight over Betty and Veronica and blah 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 blah
right.
blah. You know, same
Well,
thing.
yeah, I'm so glad that it's evolving. It's wonderful. I
Yeah.
love that. It makes me so
Mhm.
happy, and
Mhm.
I'm so happy to be back and be a part of that.
So you
You
didn't
know,
have any problem initially getting in there into Archie or anything like that. You just
no,
showed them what
not
you
at
had.
all.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No, and it came from, I did some work in the independent sector, and
hmm
again, my heart was getting stepped on. So It's very sensitive. Um, uh, well, I throw everything in there. Um, and it was one of those moments, it was one of those Joseph Campbell moments. And
Mhm.
I didn't know where I was going to be going. Um, and I was with Jim, and and he would buy me Betty digests,
Mm.
uh, because he knew I loved them. And I'd sit in the bath, you know, reading my Betty and everything, trying to figure out my life. What am I gonna do?
Mhm.
And then I'm sitting there going, I'm gonna draw this. You know? So I looked for the address and
Mhm.
I drew up some art and I
Mhm.
mailed it in with a letter going, I would like to draw this, please, with my
Mhm.
phone number. And they called me.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
yeah. So I was thrilled. I was thrilled. And so I worked very, very, very hard.
Mhm.
I got my first test script, and it was Archie going shopping in a grocery store. And I promptly cried because I was terrified.
Oh,
And
I can't do this.
yeah, I had
Mhm.
that moment, and Jim's like, "Don't worry, you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this."
Mhm.
So I did it, and I
Mm.
sent it in, and they went, "Yeah, this is all right. We're gonna publish this." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Um, and then just one thing after another kept, and one thing I pride myself on is deadlines.
Yeah.
um Coming from the fashion industry, you know, I ran my own business. I
Mhm.
have very high work ethic. I know there are more people involved than just me,
Right.
and I don't want to slow them down.
Mhm.
And you know, also coming from the theater, you have to be able to understand how to support one another
Mhm.
for the show to go on.
Right.
uh, so you know, I'm very focused with that. So it was a joy
Mhm.
to be able to uh, draw my childhood friends
It's
and
cool.
ask to be and write their stories. And so I revisited stories that I remembered as a kid and
Mhm.
gave them happy endings because that's the
Right.
way I
Mhm.
write. um, and it was awesome.
That's cool.
And yeah.
Now, you just were hired on as an artist initially, right? So, is that
I
correct?
started
Or
writing very quickly
oh,
after.
okay. That's what my next question was. It's like, how soon after that did they
Very, very
and did
quickly.
and did you have to do anything, or was it like, I can write too? Okay, or was it like, please, or what? It
No,
was
I don't remember much. I just
okay.
remember it happening. I don't remember
Okay.
any friction or anything. And I don't know whether it's menopause or just, I don't remember. I don't remember. I just
Okay.
remember it coming very, and I look at all the pages that I've done and all the stories. I went, oh my God, I did that. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. I'm really happy. And
Mhm.
I'm starting to write again. It's more casual now, which is good for me
Right.
because
Right.
you know um I help Jim run Broadsword Comics,
Right.
and you know, we're not just artists, we have a publishing house.
Right.
So there's fulfillment, there's wholesale, there's Kickstarters to run and build and blah 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 blah. I
Right.
do merchandising. I'm strong with the shorts, you know.
Yeah. Because I was reading your website. You do a lot of stuff, so I was like, wow, a lot more than I
Yeah,
expected. So, but we'll get into that too.
sure.
Sticking with Archie a little bit longer, but
Love
did you
to.
uh did you primarily work with Victor Gorelick then, or who did you
I
work with?
did.
Okay, okay,
Victor was
um,
my pretty much the only human I spoke to.
okay. Now,
I was blessed with one day of training by Dan DiCarlo.
oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, one day of art training with him, which I always say it felt like my Rocky moment. And
Hmm.
he was, you know, the trainer. Come on, kid, you can try it, and that's
The
it. Let her
Burgess,
ink her own work, but she's better on her own stuff.
the Burgess Meredith, yeah.
Yes, he was so, he had that energy.
Yes. I did meet him a couple times on, when he did some panels with, George Glatter ages ago, but, now did you get to choose which titles you worked on, or did Victor just say, "Hey, we need a spot here in Jughead. Can you do it?" Or
Yeah,
how does that work?
yeah. No, I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Or did
Was I
you ever
supposed to have that choice?
well, I don't know, you tell me because I don't know how Archie worked at that point, we're
No,
talking
at that point, they
yeah,
had me on one title, and I've already expressed I'm very emotional,
yeah,
and I get very, mm, like,
yeah,
connected, and so like when they put me on Cheryl Blossom for a couple of issues, I don't know how many, and then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna shift you off." I was like,
oh,
you know,
okay. Well, it
it
seems
was
like
very
the prime
dramatic.
one for you, just because of your background and everything. I don't know if this is true, but probably Sabrina is probably like
Yeah.
the one that you clicked with the most. I'm not saying Cheryl wasn't. You clicked in with that
Right.
pretty well too. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I mean, to me, Cheryl was it was like a makeover of her soul for me, you know,
yeah,
because I wasn't comfortable with the two-dimensional uh she's a this, she's a that, blah 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 blah. I
yeah.
really, it's like I saw her and I
Right,
wanted to, you know, when you take on a role as an actor, no one is a villain, so
right.
I wanted to see every side of her, and that's why I gave her the Pomeranian, so she would start caring for another
Yeah,
creature, and that would develop her personality. And
yeah,
yeah, she was a bit self-centered, but that's how she was raised,
yeah,
so
yeah.
she had issues.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Cheryl Blossom was just introduced as kind of a one-shot character and just was like basically just a mean and nasty character and the notorious story is, she wanted to go on the beach topless and things like that. And of course she's very amply proportioned and things like that, which is a little bit risque for Archie at that time, we're talking like
Yeah, not
80s, but you fleshed it out to give her more of a personality than just a
yeah.
one-dimensional role, which I
And
thought
the
was good, which
relationship
you
with
had to
her.
do if you made a
Yeah.
series out of it instead of a one-shot thing. So
True, but I I mean, I was just a blip on the series. I didn't do all of it,
yeah,
but when it was given to me, I wanted to work on her relationship with her mother, because most of the relationships with the Archie characters, you see mainly the father,
right.
and possibly because a guy is writing it,
Yeah.
and so it's more of a father-daughter thing, whatever. So I thought, well, here's my chance to develop a mother character
Mhm.
who is good at business and full-time work, blah 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 blah. Why are they so rich? Because both their parents work.
Yeah. Now,
So
did you write and draw all your stories, or did you sometimes just write or sometimes just draw, or
I
did
think
it matter?
the only time I stopped writing a lot was when I took on Sabrina. I was also working on starting Broadsword Comics with Jim,
Mhm,
and for someone to write would help me in the multitasking.
mhm,
And um, I kind of like working with someone else's script as well.
mhm,
So um, I wrote a few of them, and then I illustrated other writers' scripts as well.
got it, okay. And is it true it seemed like you left Archie for a few years and then came back, is that correct?
Yeah.
And was it because of Broadsword that happened, or no?
Yeah, I think partially. I think, there's only so much that one human being can do.
Yeah.
And eh, I think looking back with a more grown up, I don't know if that's a good word for me, a more a brain that has lived longer. I
Yes.
think I was on the verge of burnout. So
Mm, okay.
and I it was more difficult for me to deal with the situation at Archie,
Mhm,
and take good care here, and this and that, the other thing,
mm,
and it just was time.
mhm.
But and it's funny because now coming back, I was invited back by Mike,
Hmm.
and it was at the perfect time,
Hmm.
and it made perfect sense, and the energy that he um offered me and was perfect,
Hmm.
and I honestly just saw Ted Lasso,
Hmm.
the show,
Hmm.
and I'm like, that's happening here. That's so good. I love it because I always thought that's the way you should run a company, with that energy, that
Hmm.
positive, because I'm very optimistic. And I always believed that if I had a business, it would be like in Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol with old Fezziwig.
Oh, okay. I was saying not Scrooge, I hope.
No, not Scrooge. Old Fezziwig,
Yeah, yes.
where he worked really hard, but he always made sure everyone was happy, and
Hmm.
we all got to dance. And I really thought that that's what Archie would be like.
Hmm. Now, during the course of years of working for Archie, even then or now, did you just always work from home and
Yeah.
mail things in? Did you ever come into the offices? I know they used to be in Mamaroneck. I don't know where they are now, but
I
uh,
did Maroneck for a few times for
yeah,
either, like I said, I was trained by Dan,
right.
and I went for one Christmas
Oh, okay,
party, and just like business, this, that, or the other thing, but maybe I could still count it on one hand.
okay,
Mainly worked from, I mean, our home is our studio.
okay.
I'm
And I usually ask
we're
this at the beginning, but I'll ask it now. Where are you home based? And have you
in
been
the
home
okay
based that way the whole time? Where,
of my
where,
whole life.
well, I think you were born in New York, but yeah, aren't you in Pennsylvania nowadays, or is that
Yes, I was
am
born
I?
in Michigan, actually.
Oh wow. Okay,
I was
something's
born in
wrong.
Ann Arbor.
Something I read is wrong. It said you were born in New York
No,
City.
no, I grew up in New York. I
Okay.
was 2 weeks
Mhm.
old when when I moved to Manhattan.
Okay. Well, that might be
But
why they said that. But anyway,
I told you I'm a Virgo, so
that's why we ask these things, because
that's
we
right.
want the truth.
Ah!
Anyway, but since you've been a comic book uh person, I'll just say to cover all
Person.
your uh
Started in
have you
Manhattan.
been where you are now, or were you
No,
somewhere
started in
somewhere?
Manhattan,
Uh-huh.
worked for my apartment in Manhattan, and then, when I met Jim, when we started life together, we moved out here.
Okay. And Jim was he working for DC at the time, or
Yes.
where was he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you decided to move out there, were you together, like married or whatever, or were you just kind of, let's move out here? Were you like together
We were
as a
serious.
professional team as well as romantic, or how'd that
Um,
work?
we were professional, but we had our own careers.
Yeah.
But we always learned from each other.
Hmm.
I say it's with his assistance that my inking has gotten to not look like I've used the tail of a squirrel. He's taught me so much. Um, and also even coloring his books. I look at the way he story tells.
Hmm.
Um, he draws the kind of comics, with Terror Witch of Black Rose that I read as a teenager,
Hmm.
with Vampirella, uh, and I love Red Sonja,
Yeah.
and I liked fantasy, science fiction, horror, romance. I was not into superhero comic books,
All right.
but the superhero movies
Yeah.
and TV shows and cartoons.
Yeah.
I'm fussy,
Hmm.
but I did love Spider Woman, the comic book.
Hmm.
Jessica Drew, #1, 1977, I think.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um, so uh I think, we both love comic books, we both love movies. We we're two artists that learn from each other.
Hmm.
So um that's we connected that way for
Okay.
sure.
And
Yeah.
what made you create Broadsword at that time? Was it
That was
dissatisfaction with
Jim.
other projects, or you just want something additional to do?
No, Jim created Broadsword Comics because he wanted to create his own creator-owned projects.
Okay. And was he
And
still
because
working for other people at the time, or
he he mainly does his own, and then he'll take side projects or other projects that call to him,
got it. Okay.
you know, he's passionate about.
Hmm. Now, Broadsword, is it just mainly the one title, or what do you publish through that? Yeah.
It's mainly Terror Witch of the Black Rose.
Okay. And how frequently does that come out?
It's bi-monthly
Okay. And
for over 23 years.
well, how many issues do you have?
Right now, Jim is working on 142.
Wow, congratulations. That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you two have done everything since the beginning, or did you ever have any outside help or anything like that? Or
No, no. Jim, it's his story, his pencils, his inks. He's
Mhm.
now coloring the book. In
Oh,
the
okay.
beginning, I was helping with the color. I do the lettering and the production. I
Hmm.
do, and a lot of the PR and the fulfillment. I run the websites. I built the websites.
Hmm.
Um, all the other stuff. We have a color flatter. That's it. Color flatter is someone who assists with coloring.
Okay.
Um, you send scans of the black line, and
Hmm.
then they plop. Imagine it's like a coloring book,
Oh, okay. Hmm.
and they plop. This is the color of flesh. This is the color of hair. There's no rendering. It's just blocks of
Okay,
color
got it.
behind the black line. And then you take that and render it out. You could change the colors. Oh, I want this pattern or this palette or whatever. But that's the the easiest way to explain that.
Hmm.
And it helps it move quicker.
Hmm. And how long approximately does it take to do an issue from start to finish?
For Jim to do,
Or
he's never
yourself? Okay. He's always working
myself.
on, yeah, or both.
Uh, I don't time. I just know that we hit the deadline,
Uh-huh.
uh, and we get stuff done. Honestly, my brain just wouldn't be able to accurately
Okay, that's fine.
answer that.
Yeah. And do you
But
plan out, I guess you do because it sounds like you do, plan out issues way in advance so you know kind of which direction character arcs and things
that's
like that are
that's
going. That
that's Jim's project, and
uh,
he has his methods, and I'm mainly focusing on doing the production. I started painting again.
mhm,
Um, I had my own title called School Bites. I did that through Broadsword. Um, and I kind of like being a bee and being able to create and do without the deadline of my own
mhm,
title. I love, doing the stories for Archie, and I
mhm,
get him out on time. It might happen. I might get another story arc in my mind, but my School Bite story arc is completed as it is.
mhm.
Um, I did a book on my cat, and I have a couple projects. I wrote and did a card deck that's used for was it? It's like a tarot deck,
Mhm,
but oracle deck,
mhm,
affirmation, and all that magical
mhm.
positive goodness. So I did a deck which has a book, and I have another book I wanted to work on. I have another deck I want to do. I have a lot of the paintings done for that
Mhm,
already, but I have to do I don't know, maybe around 20 more, and
mhm.
I'll be finished. So I always got something I want to do.
Yeah. Well, other stuff I read that you've done, I don't know if you currently do this, but you probably always have your whatever's in the fire all the time, is t-shirt designs, and it says you've designed for like Howard Jones and Thomas Dolby and people like
Yeah.
that. Is
English.
that still current too, or
Oh
is that
no,
something
that
you've
I did
in the
that
past?
in the early 200s, I guess. I can't remember the last design. The
Okay.
last band I worked for was the English Beat. I did a bunch of designs for them, but yeah, I'm always doing something for us. It's so easy to do t-shirt designs now,
You're
you
right.
know.
Hmm.
But
And then let's see. And on any of these projects, and I'll say Archie too, do you create characters or do you just do things for them?
I do create characters.
Okay,
I
tell
was
us some of your
assigned to create
creations
one.
then.
Yes, that was very, very, very exciting. Joe LaKitt was a new character I got to create. I was assigned to do it,
Okay,
uh, which was exciting. And I don't know if you believe in synchronicity or any of that kind of stuff, but it was
I do.
pretty spooky how it all happened. And literally had just finished watching a biography on Joan Jett
Mm,
on Amazon.
yeah.
And I was sitting here drawing her because I felt so like motivated by her and
Hmm.
possessed with her energy that I just started sketching. And then I got the assignment
Weird.
to
Yeah.
create this new character, and some of the float out words were in Joan's direction, like what she should look like and her energy and this and that. And I was like, oh my God, taking pictures of what I was drawing, sending it to my editor. You won't believe what I'm doing right now.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was very exciting. And I'm thrilled to like have created her, and yeah.
Hmm. Now, are you free to use for writing any characters at all, or is there anything at Archie or any where you say I can't do that, or do you have free reign to do almost anything you want?
I, um, I don't think it works that way because it's not my company.
Right, right.
I think that the way, for me at least, it works is lately I get an email, oh, we have a story, do you want to work on?
Okay.
And I usually go, yes.
Um, uh,
Sometimes I'll even say yes before I read it,
because
just
hey,
because I'm so happy.
mhm,
And then sometimes is we want you to write a story.
right.
Would you like to do it? And I go, yes. So yeah.
But
It,
are you allowed to add characters at will and kind of morph the story around if it is need be, or I don't know how strict they are. I guess that's what I'm asking.
I don't feel there's a strictness. I feel I get an assignment. They float out like, oh, here's some ideas. This is the energy. And then I feel inspired by them. Um, and I create. It doesn't feel very rebellious because I feel like you're talking rebellion there. Um, it doesn't feel like that at all.
Yeah,
And when I have a story, I will pitch it.
yeah.
Like the whole rock and roll story was based on me being so head over heels in love with a movie on Netflix called Metal Lords
Mm.
that I've watched it like 48
Oh
times,
wow.
and I quote it during the day.
Hmm.
And I was never a person who cursed a lot
Yeah.
because of that movie. I curse.
Ooh.
But I see myself like them when I do it, so I think I look cool. Um, so I did a pitch video. I did illustrations. I talked it out. I made I think I did share it as a reel
Mhm,
on Instagram and Facebook.
mhm,
Because I asked the editor, is it okay if I share this?
mhm.
And he's like, yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, and they're very happy with me being like like proactive and bubbly and doing and putting out. And I love making videos. I mean, music videos I was in a music video. I was in Rapture, by the way.
Really? Like
Yeah, I'm the
that.
girl with the pink hat on.
Okay, now I'll
But
have to watch that
I was
again.
15. I was
Yeah.
15. But I love movies, and to me this is like making little movies, you know. So
Hmm.
I'm having so much fun.
That's
And
cool.
I think that's more how I want to express myself with talking with Archie, is that they're allowing me to have fun. And
Hmm.
I'm sure if I had an idea,
Hmm.
and I pitched it to them and it made sense to them,
Hmm.
you know, it would be support. Like I said, it's that Ted Lasso energy.
Right.
So yeah, it's very, I'm so happy. I really am. I really appreciate, and I tell them how much I appreciate them,
Hmm.
because I really feel that that's how comics should be
Hmm.
created. You know,
Hmm.
it shouldn't have any like, you know, it's supposed to make people happy and, you know,
Right.
give them an oasis of joy.
Hmm.
So at least in my brain, you know,
Yes. Now,
in
typically,
Hollywood.
the title you work on now is Betty and Veronica Friends Forever. Is that still being published at that point, or because I know
I
the pamphlet comics for Archie are kind of going bye-bye, and you tend to just have the digest over there. But what do you?
No, I've been working on floppies.
Okay, which
Yeah, I
what's
know, because I
which
can't
ser-
tell you about things that you don't know about. I've
Okay,
been sworn to secrecy.
but
No spoiler.
what series are you normally on nowadays, or is it?
I am on, it's a very freelancy, which is lovely.
Okay,
It's not
okay,
like in the old days where you're put on
okay. That's what I'm kind of
it,
driving at. Yeah, yeah. Okay,
it's lovely. It's
okay.
more like I open up the email and I get a bouquet of, I don't know what I'm going to be drawing, you
Oh,
know,
okay. All right.
and it's very exciting. But
Mhm.
I can talk about the Josie and the Pussycat story
Okay.
that was just announced. And I was asked to write it. And it
Hmm.
is the 60th anniversary of Josie,
Hmm.
who I met. Well, who the
Josie
name has
DiCarlo,
its,
yes.
yeah, she was lovely.
Hmm.
And she spoke French. So I got to use the rusty French I remembered. Um,
We. Yay.
she could pronounce fauve.
Hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, I'm working on, I finished the Josie and the Pussycat story.
Hmm.
And I'm working on something I can't tell you right now.
That's
And
fine.
what I'm working on right now is a floppy, so it's not
Okay.
digest.
Okay.
So I honestly don't know their schedule and blah
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. All
Yeah.
I know is what I'm working on. I'm on
Yeah.
board.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hate to say, okay, the reason why I think, oh, that Archie only does digest now is because I'm presently in California, which I'm going to be going to some comic book
Are you
stores.
are
Um,
you safe?
what?
Are you
Well,
safe? Is
I'm in Northern California, so nothing's happening here. It's just
oh good.
warm. But I live in Oregon normally, and now Oregon is odd on comic book stores, is they don't tend to carry a lot of Archie stuff, boohoo, except for the digest. So I see the digest all the time, but I
Right.
never and occasional books, but I don't see the floppy. I call them floppies. I don't know what for lack of term.
Yeah,
That's
floppies.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't see those anymore. So I go, are they even being published? But I look
Yeah.
around
They did a
online and I
cool.
go, they do publish them, and I know you have digital versions and stuff like that, but it's like at least where I am in Oregon. Yeah, there's one. Yeah, see, I haven't even seen that. Yeah,
Floppy.
they do flop. Wow. No, but I mean, my point is where I live in Oregon. I saw that cover online, so I thought that was kind of neat. But I go, they don't distribute very well. Stores just don't order them where I'm at, where I normally live. Now here in California, more metropolis. I'm near San Jose, California, big place. Near San Francisco, big place. So they get everything. It's just so. Um, I'm on vacation this week, which is why I'm doing the show in California. I'm going to venture out and look at some of the local comic stores and
Right.
see what I'm missing because the comic stores in Oregon don't get everything. And if I
Go
want
to
something, I
the
have to order
website.
online. Yeah, I have to order online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go to the Archie website. It's groovy.
Okay.
I order from there. I got the
That's
t-shirt
true. I
and
have ordered
everything.
from them before, but it's been a while. The last thing I ordered, and I think it was our mutual friend Dan Parent. He was doing Archie's B-52's book, and there's a special edition. He says you got to order it from the website, so I did order one of
Right,
those.
right, right.
That was a few years back, though. So yeah.
I
Mm.
have to say, because here's one of my perks, and I'm very
Yeah.
proud of it,
Hmm.
of working for Archie is I get comps.
Okay.
And so in the mail, you feel like you're eight, you open it up and there are comic books in your mailbox.
Hmm.
And they come just sheathed in plastic. The digest too, I get them,
Hmm.
and they are perfect.
Hmm.
And I'm the girl who's packing orders here and shipping them out and working so hard to put stay flats in there and this and that, keeping those comic books perfect. And they're just coming in the mail with some plastic on them. Not a dent, not a bruise, not a bump, not a nothing. They're perfect. And I'm like, this has got to be magic, you know?
Well,
So
they
if
have.
anyone ever wants to do like a subscription with them,
Yeah.
it's just amazing
Yeah.
how pristine the books come.
Yeah. Well, they've only been doing it for 80 years, so
Yeah.
plus.
It, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah, yeah,
the somehow they've made a bargain with, the male gremlins
yeah.
that they sacrificed some,
Mm.
I don't want to know,
I'm
but
gonna I'm gonna have to subscribe to more, because I do subscribe. Yeah, I mean, it used to be that back in the time I was reading your earlier tenure with Archie,
yeah,
I was getting my comics through Westfield Comics, and
yeah,
they had a bundle pack of Archie, so you just get all the Archies all at once, and so
that's
I would get all of them for years, and then in more recent times, things started dwindling down and da 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 da. Not just Archie, all publishers, and it's like.
I
And
know. It's
so
yeah,
it's like, is it all extinct? But it's not. So I do subscribe to a
no,
few things, but it's just a couple DC titles, Looney Tunes and Mad and things like that. But I should probably
right.
broaden my aspect, and get some more Archies again, because love the titles. So
Yeah, easiest
anyway,
way is on the websites. We
okay.
have the broad Jim Balance Studios website,
Mhm.
and I have the Holly's Heart
Yeah.
.net website
Hmm.
and Archie website, which I have a link to on mine. You
Hmm.
know, so people can get the whatever cover, whatever I'm working on, and the other groovy stuff that's there.
Hmm. Shifting gears a little bit, you mentioned, kind of we were you're a big fan of Star Wars and things like
I
that.
am.
So, what things, Star Wars included, are you a fan of outside of what you do? I'm just
Oh
curious.
gosh.
Tell me about yourself. you know,
Oh, tell me about myself.
and what you like.
Um, oh, I'm an OG Star Wars New Hope girl.
Hmm.
That's my favorite of all the movies.
Hmm.
Um, and I love science fiction. I love fantasy. I love Douglas Adams, Terry Pratchett.
Hmm.
I am a Harry Potter fan. I was sorted into Slytherin. I thought I was going to be Ravenclaw because I think I know everything. Uh, but I'm happy with Slytherin. I got my Slytherin tattoo.
Cool.
Um, I love Disney. I love going to amusement parks. You give me a choice between going to Paris, unless it's Paris Disney,
Yeah, of
or
course.
to Disney World or Disneyland. I will take Disney or Universal Parks anytime. Because I figure I could just go to Paris and Epcot,
Yeah,
and yeah. But I mean, I just love um amusement park. I love when fantasy spills into reality and you get to walk in it, live it. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I'm a gamer.
yeah.
I like dungeon crawling games the best.
Hmm.
I see what else. I started with Pong, so I'm an original gamer too.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. I love pinball. Um, I love certain kinds of music, not all kinds. I love Dolly Parton.
Cool.
Dolly, if you're watching this,
I should show you
I
this.
want to go to, yeah.
Hold on. Yeah, you could keep 1 second. Oh, yeah, put one hold on. Hold on.
Da, 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 da,
I
da,
put
da,
it.
da. Here, do you have anything
Ah,
interesting?
I put it across the room. You probably have these too, the little lending libraries that are just a little box in somebody's front yard, and you put in a book and take a book or
I've
whatever.
seen them.
Yeah, they're common out here. I don't know if they are in the East, but my friend who we did a comic convention just yesterday, and afterwards we took a walk with the dog and everything, and he had his old comic book price guide from last year, and his wife was saying, nobody wants that old thing. And I said, well, I'd take it if I didn't have it. It's like, because they offered it to me. And so that was the book he was contributing. So I looked in the box, and my wife's a big Dolly Parton fan too. So they had this. So I was just, so I
Oh,
picked this up for her since he
so
mentioned Dolly Parton. And
wonderful.
there's her painting of her.
Oh,
Yay.
oh,
Anyway,
bless
I
her.
just had to show that. So anyway,
Thank
nothing
you.
to do
Well,
with anything.
I think I could show and tell too.
All right.
Here, I did this portrait of Dolly
Oh, wow.
and Miley.
Cool. That's very
That was
good.
in response to them not allowing those children to sing the Rainbow
Yeah.
World, which I loved that song.
Hmm.
Before all that happened, I found that song. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so known. And I would listen to that song and make me so happy,
Yeah.
you know? And it just blew my mind that people would be pooping on that, you know?
People poop on
So,
everything
uh,
nowadays.
there they are.
Yeah.
There they are.
Yeah. One
Well,
more Dolly thing. She does have a rock and roll album coming out this November, so it's
I've
like,
already
yeah.
pre-ordered it, and I did
Ooh.
I don't know if I have the print. I did a special print of
Oh,
her.
cool.
Yeah, it's on my website. This is the Dolly Christmas.
Oh, wow. Have you met and or seen Dolly in concert or anything?
Neither,
Wow.
neither.
Okay.
I want to go to I want to go to Dollywood maybe for my
You haven't even
60th.
done that? This is your music book gal? Oh, yeah. Anyway.
I'm coming late to the party,
Okay.
but she's always been sort of on my radar, and
Yeah.
uh like I just thought she was a lovely person, but for some reason in this part of my life, it's like I need her.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. I'm not as enamored with her to buy all her stuff, but my sister was a big Dolly Parton fan back in the 70s, and I'd hear some of her music, and Jolene came out, and the big song that Whitney Houston made a big hit
Right.
with. I said, "Wait a minute, that's a Dolly Parton song."
Yeah.
I will always love you and stuff. And it's like, it's kind of like, and I liked her in 9 to 5 and things like that, so she was
Oh,
always kind of there, and I always kind of admired her as a person. But yeah, in recent times, she's done like documentaries and TV movies about herself or whatever, and you go, wow, this is a really remarkable person. So
amazing.
yeah.
And it just blows your mind to think that she had that current to swim against.
Yeah.
This incredibly beautiful, intelligent, talented, just, will committed person had
Yeah.
to deal with all that caca.
Yeah.
You know?
And for the most part, it seems like, unless she hides it from the public, but I don't think so. She seems very positive and upbeat about most things. She's not out there
Yeah.
about, I was
No,
mistreated, or I was this, that, and the other. It's like she kind of
no,
stands her ground, but she keeps going.
yeah, and I admire that, and I'm inspired by that,
Mhm.
because sometimes I prefer not to focus on the negativity, like, I didn't go into details about what happened. It just, I had to switch gears in my theater
Oh yeah.
um journey, and switch gears here, switch gears there, because it just wasn't
Yeah, but
so.
that's totally understandable. And I'm typically, as an interviewer, I don't delve into that. Some people say, "Why didn't you ask about this?" Because it's not really important to the
No.
grand scheme of things. Everybody has their issues, their demons, their whatever. But also, people make choices for a good reason, a bad reason, or no reason. It's like they're,
Right.
it's just the timing. You were talking about synchronicity earlier, and oh, the timing of it all. This came in at this time. Sometimes that happens more frequently when you just kind of just let things happen and not try to force it to do this. I have to
Yeah.
be this thing at this age at this time with this publisher, and then it probably won't
Yeah.
happen. But if you just kind of let back and say, well, I'm going to just continue working on this, and in the background work on this, and then it it, it meshes. So
right. That Wu Wei.
yes. One other thing I see, so I was kind of eyeballing your tattoos, is it looks like you're a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas
Yes,
and
I am.
yeah,
Very much so.
Tim Burton probably. Let's see, you got
Not,
is
yeah.
that tell me your tattoo? Oh, you got Little Mermaid, and then that's
Yeah, I got Tinkerbell wearing a
okay.
witch hat
Okay.
because I love Tinkerbell,
Yeah.
and it's a symbol of the not so scary Halloween party at Disney.
Mhm.
Here's Stitch,
Yeah.
which was my
I was
first
gonna say
tattoo.
it's Lilo, and I go, wait a minute, I'm mixing them up. Whoops.
Yeah. So, I mean, all my tattoos are like a little piece of me.
Yeah.
So they all
Yeah.
mean, so, Hannah, the Little Mermaid,
I have
Air.
none. I have none, but if I did tattoos, I'd probably do like you. I'd
Yeah,
probably have
yeah.
I'd have a Casper, I'd have a Bugs Bunny, I'd have a Bullwinkle, but but it's like I've just never gone that way. But I do admire tattoos. I think they're really
Yeah,
neat. I just don't want them on me. So
that's fine.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no.
uh, yeah.
So that's Moana's The Heart of Tafiti.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
I love that scene where she realizes that the lava demon is who she is. And I'll start crying if I talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm so moved by that moment in that movie.
Hmm.
How to get it.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good movie.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
I try to
Oh,
keep up on all of them. The only one I haven't seen, and I count Pixar in this too, is the Elemental one, the most recent
yeah, I
one.
haven't seen it yet as well when it's free on Disney Plus. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'll watch it.
And Disney's like, please pay for it. And it's like, well, anyway,
I pay for
yeah,
Disney Plus.
yeah, I know. But it's kind of funny, it's like now it just happened, and I was talking to my dad about this right before we came on. Uh, they say like, oh well, Elemental was a flop, Indiana Jones was a flop, this was a flop, that was a flop. But now Oppenheimer and Barbie, they're hits. And I think it's just the timing of it all. I think it's just all those movies kind of came out in May and June, and people are still at school and whatever. And now it's July and August, and it's like, and I think it happened to me too. It's like I hadn't been in a movie theater in 3 years, and so suddenly I just felt like, let's go to a movie theater. And
Oh,
I think
we
everybody,
a
it just
lot.
this big cosmic shift. Let's all go to the movies now. And now movies are being successful again. All of a sudden, it's like they should reissue those last few that they said were flops and say, oh, here it is again. You missed it, but now it's here, and I bet they'd be bigger hits, but I don't know.
No, people were going.
Yeah.
I don't.
But during the pandemic, everybody was saying, "Oh, movies are dead. Nobody's ever going to come back." And I said, "No, they'll come back. It's just not right
Yeah,
now. Not right now."
it's the
But
closest for me going to church is going to the theater movie.
yeah.
Sitting and watching and
Hmm.
you know. But I have also been introduced to the comfy seats.
Oh yeah. So
So
you have that back there, the seats where you go, and everything.
yeah.
And then there's
So
some
the
theaters, I don't know
movie
if you
is
have,
so
where they
good.
serve you food and everything, like proper food, not just popcorn. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I had a giant pretzel. It was this big.
Oh, well, I don't mean food like that. I mean, there's a theater out here that they show older movies, but they have food to tie into it. So they showed Godfather 2 from 1974 and full course meal. You had lasagna,
Uh,
antipasto, and bottle of wine and all sorts of things.
I honestly do not like to eat when I watch a
Yeah,
movie.
but it was interesting on that because it was
Yeah, I love the pairing.
since I've seen the movie so many times before, it didn't matter.
Right.
I agree with you there. In fact, on most movies, like I did see Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
and everybody else was, oh no, I want popcorn. I don't eat anything. I might take a sip of a drink, but it's like I
Right.
like to just watch. But that's me on a
I
movie.
try to eat everything before the movie
Yes.
starts. And if I do continue eating, it means the movie is not very good.
Right, right. I'll agree with you.
Or I'm really hungry. I'm gonna faint.
So in recent times, what films have you kind of liked? It could be on TV or streaming or whatever or
Well, we
theater.
did see Barbie and I loved it. I felt
Okay.
seen.
Hmm. Very good. I
I've been a huge Barbie fan since like I remember sitting on my grandmother's bed, with my Malibu Barbie. She was very important in my life growing up. I went into the fashion industry, and it all started, dressing my Barbies, making outfits for my Barbies. Um, and let's see, I'm very fussy with what I like.
Mhm.
But I'm not one to poo-poo in public or do any of that, because there might be movies that I like that people don't like, and
Right.
vice versa. But a lot of the new movies that came out, I was kind of disappointed in.
Mm. Yeah, I try to
Um,
keep positive too. I'd rather say that I like fill in the blank movie than I hate that movie, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Jim and I will be honest. Oh yeah, that sucked.
Yeah, yeah. Well, behind the scenes, yeah, yeah.
But that's
Like
between, it's at home.
using Barbie as an example, there's like the Barbie backlash by different people, and it's like, how can you knock it if you haven't even seen it? It's like,
Yeah,
um, I
yeah,
would
that's.
like to see it, but if I didn't want to see it, and I do plan to see it probably this week because I have the time.
See, I don't
Uh,
want to see Oppenheimer.
yeah,
I don't want to see Oppenheimer. I didn't see
yeah,
Schindler's List.
yeah.
No.
The strange thing on Oppenheimer, this is with my wife again, it's like when we decided to go to the theater, it was when both of them were out. And I asked her, and I assumed she was going to say Barbie, and she said, no, I want to see Oppenheimer. So we saw Oppenheimer. So Barbie's still up for grabs. This
It's
will probably be the
great.
week for me to do it. Well, everybody who I know has said it's great. And they
It's
say,
great.
Mark, I know you'll like it. It's like, and that's the important thing. It's like, everybody in the world could like it, but I could go, it's all right. But I think I will. I think I will because I know already just the vibe it has. It just looks like it's something I will like. You know.
I'm very confused when everyone in the world likes something or doesn't like something, and it's the opposite for me. So I love The Flash.
Mm,
Loved it. Saw it twice
mm,
in the theater. We
mm,
paid twice. I personally thought it was one of the best superhero movies I had seen in a
mm,
long time. A
mm,
long time. I
mm.
just, I'm not judging anybody. I'm just sitting in the dark looking at a story on the screen.
Uh-huh.
And do I care? Do I believe?
Mhm,
Um, all those questions.
mm.
Do I leave the theater feeling I want to be a superhero? And yes, I do,
Okay.
after I saw that movie.
Interesting. I haven't even considered that one, so I might take your recommendation because talking with you this last few minutes, it just seems like we are on similar tastes in a lot of things on movies, and so
Yeah.
that's part of
So
the
you
reason I
haven't
asked you
seen
all this. Yeah,
haven't seen it. Were you put off by everyone's scuttlebutt
I
about it?
hadn't seen it just because I'm put off just by so many superhero movies right now. It's like, and it's not because I can't see them. Uh, I the superhero series I've liked in recent times is Guardians of the Galaxy. Seen the first two many, many times. When the third one came out, I didn't bother to see it. I have the DVD, it's sitting at home. I will watch it, and I've heard it's the best of the three. And it's like I just haven't done it yet, and it's like so I will get to it. But it's like that series, for me on superheroes, it has to have some sense of humor about it. It can't be totally
Yeah.
straight.
Right,
If
right.
I'm going to badmouth something, I will badmouth it. And it's no knock on the film itself. It's a knock on just my taste versus what people generally like. Black Panther is a good example. It's a great movie, but it's not
Yeah,
my favorite because it's so dreadfully serious the whole time.
right.
There's very little humor in it,
Okay.
and I get it. It's supposed to be kind of a serious story and stuff like that. Well, the people who like that, that's for them. And then for
Right.
me, I would prefer to see, my favorite Batman is still Adam West. So it's like that's where you go. And there's some people that are like Adam West, blah, that's silly.
No, no,
It's
that's in
like
his house. Adam
yeah.
West is king.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, oh, it's because it's what you saw first, and it's like, no, it's just what I like best, because I,
I like how people tell you
yeah, yeah, you
why
know,
you like something,
right.
as if they like know you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And some people can recommend, but most people can't recommend me what I should like. So when people say, oh, Mark, you'll like this, I take it with a big grain of salt. I'll say,
Right,
let's
right, right,
see.
right.
Let's see. And it's probably about 50% or less of people who kind of And
I mean, I can be spot on why I love something.
yeah,
First of all, when it gets to my heart, and we're talking about for
yeah,
days after,
yeah,
you know, I hope only the best for that actor,
yeah.
who
Hmm.
played the Flash. He's a beautiful young
Okay,
man, uh, his beautiful human being. Uh,
okay. I'll have to
who's
check that one
going
out.
through whatever he's going through. Let me tell you, he is so talented, because every time someone sasses me about that movie, I go, when you watch that movie, did you believe you were watching two different people?
Hmm. Interesting. Hmm.
Two different people.
Now, is there humor in the film? I'll ask that. Okay, good, perfect.
And you
It
know
just,
what?
and I don't want it so humorous that it's just silly and stupid. I mean, just
No, no, no,
enough.
no.
Yeah,
I grew up on Mel Brooks,
yeah,
on Laurel and Hardy,
yeah,
on all the classic.
yeah,
I love a giggle,
yeah,
and I would rather laugh than go see Oppenheimer.
yeah, yeah. No, not too many laughs in Oppenheimer. I'll have to
No,
admit.
no, no. But and also everyone's like poo-pooing it about the FX,
Yeah.
what's it called? The menopause. Like the special effects
In
of
Oppenheimer, what do you mean?
no,
Or in
of the
in
Flash.
oh, in the Flash. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the computer generated,
Hmm.
whatever. Um,
That can
First of all,
sometimes affect a movie for me, but it just depends.
I
And
would rather I would like them to be paid better and treated
yeah,
better, whoever's
yeah,
doing it.
yeah, yeah.
But when I'm watching a movie, it could be part of the style,
Right.
just like
Yeah.
there's all different kinds of styles. I don't expect, first of all, I'm watching a man who runs faster than the speed of light.
Hmm.
So why can't I suspend my imagination for X, Y, and Z
Hmm.
of, well, the lighting looks a little strange here, a little marshmallowy there, or whatever. It's like, is the story good?
Yeah.
Am I in there? I will forgive that.
Yeah. And that's me too. I've said
Bother.
this before. I'm a big animation fan. Yet I
Me
say
too.
yet I say my favorite animated series of all time is Rocky and Bullwinkle, which probably has some of the worst animation ever. But it's the story is key. It's like you can
It's
have
style.
yeah,
It's style. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it's its own style,
yeah,
and CGI. That's it.
right.
The CGI of this or that or the other thing. The only time I feel it is if the movie isn't doing it for me.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
was laughing at the CGI because it was part of the joke at
right.
some part, and it's
And
hysterical.
some people
Yeah,
don't get it. It sounds like you get it, whatever it is on that particular film. So it's like, and it,
yeah,
it sounds like people who poo-poo a film like that probably just don't get it, and they go, "Ah, that's poorly
yeah,
made."
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to check it
I
out. It sounds interesting because I
really,
I just
yeah,
didn't consider it. I wasn't really
wasn't
accepting it
on
or
your radar.
rejecting it. It just wasn't there. I had heard about it, but
Yeah,
I didn't really put it down
I
as a must see. But now I'm kind of like, maybe I should reconsider. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's on Amazon, so you can
Okay,
watch it in the comfort of your own home.
okay.
Um, I loved it on the big screen because there are some Easter eggs, they call them now. Because
Yeah,
when
yeah.
we were when it first started, Easter eggs you had to look for, but now they're just like, oh. But there were a lot of things that made me go, and
That's cool.
and they call it fan service or whatever, but it made sense.
Yeah,
It all, I felt loved when I
yeah,
was sitting in that theater.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
that's true on those Easter eggs. Yeah, they do have to kind of make sense. If they're just there, it's like, why is that random character just walking randomly there? Then you're like, huh?
yeah.
But if it makes sense in the greater context, if you get the joke, it just makes it sweeter. So yeah,
Well, this
yeah,
was more this was more than jokes. This was sort of like nostalgia.
yeah. Or get the reference. Joke might be the
Yeah,
wrong
yeah,
word.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I loved it. I was so glad to see it a second time, because usually the first time I'm worried about everyone, so I'll miss something.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
now that I know, like, oh, that's then I can watch it. And that
Yeah.
happened with Guardians 3. Is like,
Hmm.
sitting there like holding onto the
Yeah.
chair, terrified, and
Yeah.
then
Well, I know what you mean because I've seen the other two many times, and it's like the first time I was just prepared to be thrilled and see what happens. But the second time, you know what's going to happen, so now you can get all the little details in the background
right.
and blah blah blah. You
Now
know.
that you are a James Gunn fan, have you
Yes,
ever seen his movie, The Specials?
I haven't seen that one. I've seen
This is
Suicide
your
Squad, and I
homework.
love the Peacemaker series. I love love
Me
love love love.
too.
Anyway,
Me
anyway.
too. And because it's smart, you know,
Yes, yes,
and there's such a heart in there.
yeah.
Um, so this is your homework. You
Okay.
find it's one of the most difficult movies to find, called The Specials, that came out in the year 2000, and you will see that these are the blueprints for all the things you love.
Hmm. And I love virtually anything Gunn has done. So if I haven't seen it, I must see it. So anyway,
Yeah, it's with Rob Lowe
okay.
and other actors that I know their faces, but I'm terrible with names.
It's possible I've seen it, but didn't know it was related to James Gunn or anything like that. So it's,
It was a superhero movie
yeah,
where nothing super happens,
yeah.
and it's more of a like a soap opera
Okay.
of how they all relate to each other.
Hmm.
And
Well,
it's
the only thing that I can comes to mind that's similar to that sounds like Mystery Men or something like that. Is it kind of
it
like
came
that?
out before Mystery Men.
Interesting. Okay. All
So
right. All right.
I honestly thought they ripped them off,
Oh, they
and
probably did.
they had more money for Mystery Men, but
Yeah.
I feel The Specials is better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna have to check that out then.
Loved it. Loved
Okay.
it. We quote it in the house.
All
I
right.
think about
Because I love that of genre, any genre, any age. If I discover an old movie from the 1940s or something that I've never seen before, and it's like an incredible story, and it's like a good plot twist or something, and I go, "Oh my God, where has this movie been all my life?" And it's, it may be a big movie, it may be a small movie, but usually it's a small movie at this time because I've seen most of the big movies that you're supposed to see. And just like
what's your favorite?
of a film like that.
Yeah.
Geez, I don't know if I can. My favorite film of all time is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. But as far as and that one I could even say is kind of like one of those ones. At the time, they always said I saw it in 1971 when it first came out. I was
Me too.
4 years old, and they always say, "Oh, it was a flop," and maybe it was, but the theater I saw it in was fully packed, and everybody loved it. But then it aired on TV a couple times, and then it just kind of and it was kind of like for me, that's like my personal movie. But then I started doubting myself because I had seen it so many because there's no home video or anything like that. And you flash forward to like 1981, and there was a movie theater in the local area here in California that happened to be playing it for like a summer matinee, just like one time. And I wasn't sure, and I asked my mom, "Hey, I remember this as a kid. Can we go see it?" And my brother had never seen it, so we went, and it was actually a long distance to go, but we went just to see it. And that's when it clicked in the '80s. I said, "I love this movie," and it's like I don't care if anybody else doesn't like this movie. I don't care if it's not a cult film or something. It is now, but it's like, but
Right.
at the time, it's like so that's things like that. I love movies like that. You're putting me on the spot now. I have to think of different ones. I mean, a recent one that I just saw that I'd never seen before. It's not the best movie in the world, but I just like it for what it is. It came out on Blu-ray, and it's always been out before, like on cruddy DVDs and VHS tape. Is If I Had a Million, and it has W.C. Fields in it, and it's all little scenes. And it has George Raft in it. It has I can't think of it. Charles Lawton in it, and yeah, just little. They're not really comedic because some of them are tragic, but
Right.
it's this millionaire who thinks he's going to die, and so rather than give the money to his descendants or his staff on his building, his office building or whatever, he just randomly goes through the phone book and gives money to this person and to this person,
I think
and
I saw that as a kid.
different things happen. It came out in 1932 or something like that,
Mhm.
but I had never seen it until very recently, and that one resonated with me, and it's like, wow, why have I seen that? Um, it has little funny things like the first person he hits in the phone book, he goes like this, and it says George Rockefeller, and he says, no. So anyway, yeah. So anyway, if you haven't seen it in a long time,
I
that
will. I'll
resonated with
look it
me
up
in
'cause
an odd way because
yeah,
it in certain things, some are very prescient. Is that the right word for things happening now? Even though it
I
happened
agree.
90 years ago, it's like, "Ugh," you know, you know,
Yeah,
especially
I did.
the more tragic ones, which I won't reveal. You have to watch those anyway.
Oh my
So
God. I
anyway.
saw Penny Serenade and I cried for like hours.
So
My God.
so I watch almost anything and everything. I mean, my sweet spot is probably movies from the 30s to the 80s, but it's like,
So
oh,
My Man Godfrey, that's one of my
oh,
favorites.
that's a great movie. Yeah. Yeah.
And Sullivan's Travels,
Oh, I love that movie too. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
saw it as a teenager.
Hmm.
And I thought that's what I need to do. It was almost like an assignment
Hmm.
to make people happy.
Right.
And I almost lost my poop when I heard James
Yeah.
Gunn say that was one of his favorite.
Yeah.
I know. I tell you, I really don't curse a lot, so it's
Yeah, I
easy for
know.
me
But
not.
for me, I know
Um,
there's no holds barred. You can say anything you want on the show. So anyway,
I'd
go
rather
ahead.
say poop unless I want to look like a tough metalhead.
Okay, well.
Um, I'll have my moments. It'll make
Yes.
sense. But James Gunn said that was one of his movies that inspired him, and
Interesting.
I was like, because very few people, you know, bring that up, and it's such a, like you
Mhm.
said, those a lot of those movies seem so relevant to now,
Yeah.
you know, and
So, as far as more recent movies that kind of resonate with me, they're just popping in while we're talking here. It's like
yeah,
The Bank Job, which is based on a true story. It has Jason Statham, and it's not as action oriented as typical for his movies. It's more of a straightforward story of robbing a bank in London, and it's just gripping. It just keeps you going, and it's like, and I knew the basic story, but I mean, just see it all played out in front of you, it's like, wow.
cool.
Another one, even more recent, is Trumbo. I rewatched that one recently. If you've never seen that one, it has Bryan Cranston, who's on Breaking Bad, and but he plays Dalton Trumbo. It's not Dumbo. He plays Dalton Trumbo, who is a writer for movies that gets blacklisted, and so during the time he's blacklisted, he writes for smaller companies. He writes under pseudonyms, under other people's names, as other people turn in the scripts and everything like that. And then, spoiler alert, everything turns out right in the end. But during that, the creative ways he gets around being blacklisted is really incredible. So, and it has John
I think
Goodman
I
in it.
saw it. I think I
Yeah,
saw it.
yeah, yeah. So,
I made faces for Breaking Bad because I tried watching that.
yeah.
I was like,
Well,
there's
here
no way
I will say
I could
something
watch
about Breaking Bad because I get in arguments with people, so I can say it on here because I know you want to argue with me. Um, yeah, on this.
Well, I'm not an arguer.
Yeah, yeah, but okay. Yeah, and we said earlier we're not going to diss anything. Well, I'm kind of going to
No,
diss. I'm
giving your
going. Yeah,
opinion is
yeah, yeah,
fine.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
the thing about venting venom in public is
Right.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's my take on Breaking Bad. I think it's an excellent show. I've seen
Okay.
about 3 or 4 episodes, but it's not for me.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't really enjoy watching it. So it's like, and people, when I tell people that, they go, "What? It's incredible! It's the best show ever!" Blah, blah, blah. It's like
I don't
I did.
understand why.
I didn't say it was a bad show. I said it was an excellent show. I
Yeah.
said it's not for me.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, and people don't get that all the time. They go, "Oh," it's like,
I
how can you say it's an excellent show and not like it? Well, I can understand a good, well made thing.
I didn't believe it. I
Yeah.
saw the first episode
Yeah.
and I didn't believe it.
Mm,
I felt that it was very self-conscious,
mm,
unless that's the style.
mm.
But I felt like everything that was being said felt very like two-dimensional, like the way the wife was acting, he was acting.
Mhm.
Nothing felt dimensional, you
Hmm.
know. And I love Charles Dickens.
Mhm.
Uh, and I just it didn't feel alive to me. And again, I'm very so like the whole a lot of the characters I didn't like them,
Yeah.
like why would I care about someone like
Yeah.
this? I want to care, and
Yeah.
that to me for me is a big problem, and that might be a style, and I'm lost in that
Yeah.
because when I watch, I want to root for somebody,
Yeah.
or care about their. I
Right.
grew up on MASH and Archie Bunker, and you know,
Yeah. Well, what I found, and maybe you're similar on this, so maybe this kind
mm,
of explains it. I'm not big on anti-heroes. Are, do you know if you are, but I have exceptions to the rule. Like
right,
I like Dirty Harry. There's not really anything, but I think I just like Clint Eastwood. But it's like,
yeah, you can
but
appreciate it, but
um
he's like not my favorite.
but like, and this is an Archie thing. You didn't write this, I don't think. The Punisher, there's Archie
Yeah.
versus the Punisher years ago. The Punisher is a character. Some people love that character, and me, I just go, he, he's, well, he's an anti-hero hero. It's like, yeah,
All right,
so
I like
so.
Deadpool. Does that
I
count?
love Deadpool. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
see, that's what I'm saying. I can't say categorically anti-hero
right.
because
No,
Deadpool
I don't have
is
a problem with
hysterically
an
funny.
anti-hero.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no.
Okay, that's
I just I don't like I won't watch The Godfather. I
oh
really don't enjoy watching the crime stuff,
yeah.
but I love Married to the Mob.
Well, you like it more funny, yeah.
And I like
Well,
Pocket Full of Miracles.
yeah. Um, I like The Godfather, but
Guys
I
and
kind of
Dolls.
I draw the line more on The Sopranos, which everybody raves about,
I
and
won't
it's
watch
like
that.
because to me it's like The Godfather had a little bit of a purpose, sort of, kind of, sort of,
Sure,
whereas The Sopranos, for me at least, didn't seem to have any purpose other
I
than
have no
let's see
idea.
how extreme we can be beyond reality, or it may be reality, but just how violent we could be for violence sake. It wasn't like, it's like one is art, one is violence, just, and it's like,
But
yeah,
then
yeah.
I'll watch Japanese movies like was it Tokyo Police, where
Yeah.
they have ultra violence, where limbs are blowing off, eyeballs are shooting out, like the Evil
Well, you
Dead
like it
kind.
more cartoony, maybe, it's like, I don't
But
know, but
yeah,
you know,
I don't like body horror, but when it goes to like Bugs Bunny land,
yeah. So you
then
probably
it's kind of funny.
are you like this then, like on horror movies?
Yeah,
You would prefer to see, say, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, any of them, Boris
I
Karloff, blah
love
blah, Bela Lugosi, rather than slasher victim,
don't watch them.
Youth
I didn't
Hostel
see
where they're pulling eyeballs out, and Saw where they're sawing off limbs and all that.
I didn't see I did see Saw, and I thought that was a very good movie. And I
I have seen
appreciate,
some of those, and I actually do like some
yeah,
of them, but it's like it's more of the violence thing. Like
the
I like
body horror.
strangely, I like some of the Rob Zombie movies, so it's like, it's like it's kind of
No,
odd
I
that way
understand.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I actually enjoyed the monsters. I watched it twice. And I mean, come on, Disco Nosferatu.
That one I have avoided so far, so
Um,
it's hard for me on the Munsters only because I was never a big Munsters fan originally, but I've seen all the episodes, so it's like, I don't know.
yeah, I
One of
love
these
those.
days I'll probably break down and say, okay, let's watch it, but it's like right now I'm
It's
like,
I enjoyed it.
yeah, yeah.
I'm not gonna. It was like no, it was not. the best acting or this or that, the other thing. But I'm gonna say I enjoyed it. Just like
Yeah.
there are movies like, The Wizard of Gore or the Gore Girls, 10,000 Maniacs,
Yeah.
every John Waters movie, where there's just an envelope being pushed
Yeah.
in the absurd.
Yes.
And I like the absurd. I like silly things.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, oh, bet my favorite Netflix movies, Eurovision.
Hmm.
Okay,
I
did
have
you
not.
see it?
No, I have
I
not
will,
seen that. I gotta write that one
I
down.
will cry every time I see that movie.
Okay.
And not only that, but I started watching Eurovision now. I had no idea. And I found all these new musicians that I listened to because of that.
Hmm.
So not only was it a fun movie to watch, a beautiful movie, it was inspiring,
Hmm.
if you're an artist especially.
Hmm.
Um, it just makes laugh pee kind of stuff for me.
Cool.
But it opened up another part of the world to me, and I appreciated that,
Hmm.
because I'm not a heavy metal fan,
Hmm.
but I love metal lords like
Yeah.
there's no tomorrow, you know.
Um, did you see? You might actually enjoy this. Did you see the Motley Crue
I
uh
did not.
movie?
No,
It wasn't a documentary. It was like a
I know. I
yeah,
know that it's a
yeah,
replaying.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel uncomfortable. I almost feel dirty watching those.
It is dirty, but if you like the Peacemaker, you might like it on that level because I don't know, but I actually enjoyed it, and it's kind of funny. I'm not a metalhead by any means, but strangely enough, as I get older, I'm kind of appreciating heavy metal more and more. I'm like, is it because of the Osbournes and everything else? I don't know, but
Well, I love Ozzy.
yeah,
Ozzy is
yeah. But
like
I mean,
the
before that, I
Dolly
never,
Parton of heavy metal to me.
yeah,
There's
I
something
I never paid
ethereal about it.
attention to him before the Osbournes. I just said, "Oh yeah, Black Sabbath exists somewhere out there," but I never pay attention to it. And now I'm like, "There's some good tunes there,"
Yeah.
So, Motley Crue is the same way as like I go, I never, and a guy playing Ozzy is in the movie too. If you want the
Oh
Ozzy
wow.
connection, anyways. So, and it's like my wife is a heavy metal fan, knows all the hair bands and
Jim
everything.
is.
I was
He
more
loves
into
my.
well, my favorite group's the Beatles, and I like 60s rock and everything. And then when 80s came along with all the new wave stuff, I was like totally into all the synth pop stuff. So that's where my head is starts. As far as musical genres, I like everything. I mean, I was listening to ukulele music yesterday driving home, so it's like I go all over the map. But as far as my core comfort zone that I love, 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 it's like late 60s
What's your
rock
favorite Beatles song?
rock. I am the Walrus.
Oh, interesting.
And then in 80s, that little sweet spot about like 78 to 83, somewhere around there. Maybe, you know, when like uh, Diva was big and stuff like that,
Hmm.
that little niche. But anyway, what's your favorite then? The Beatles.
Across the Universe.
Oh, cool. I like that song. So
Yeah, I can play it
uh,
on the guitar too.
they're both Lennon songs. So anyway, but in my case, I think I like Eye on the Walrus because it's just so strange and it somehow
Yeah.
works within its context of strangeness. It's almost like and this is also Lennon, Lennon did Eye on the Walrus, he also did Revolution Number Nine.
Yeah.
Revolution Number Nine doesn't quite work. I mean, if it's just avant-garde, yes, it works. But I mean, if trying to make it click into like being a little more, you know, pop culture and resonating with people, Eye on the Walrus works. Revolution Number Nine doesn't quite work. And so because there's no real point to having random Shakespeare play playing in the background, and the lyrics don't really make a lot of sense. And what's the point to it
Well,
all? Yet it
I
works,
it was like
it's kind of a weird way, and
it was
that's
like
the
a Stan Brakhage movie, but as music.
yeah.
it was like a collection. I mean, he was working with Yoko, so I
Yeah,
think there was a lot of
yeah.
experimental stuff. So yeah.
Now, Across the Universe, I could totally understand why you like it. It's just a beautiful song. I could be more nitpicky. Which is your favorite version of it?
My favorite version is Fiona Apple.
Oh, okay. I was kind of saying just in Beatles versions, but okay, yeah.
No,
Her version's great.
I'm a
Yeah, yeah,
huge Beatles fan, number one.
yeah,
My
yeah.
first crush was on Paul McCartney,
Oh,
who shared the birthday with my dad.
oh.
Um, so I am a huge Beatle fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I may not know as much as you do, but there may have been a point where I did.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I ever won in an art contest,
Mm-hmm.
I won at Beatles Fest. I won second prize, and I did a portrait of Paul McCartney and Wings. And
Cool.
I had,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I was just saying, because there's the version that was the World Wildlife one or whatever, and then there's the version that's on Let It Be, and then there's the Let It Be Naked version, and then there's the Get Back version, and I like the Let It Be Naked version. It finally was the version of Beatles versions that I go, okay, they finally
mhm,
got it right by stripping away all the excess stuff and just putting the basic song out there.
right.
I like Bowie's version a lot though, so and yeah, it's a good song for that. Yeah.
I love David Bowie, and get connected to Archie. He was a big inspiration in how I wrote the story
Very cool.
for Josie.
To kind of reel it back in here, okay. So,
Yeah.
when you're doing any of your stories, do you always draw on things that have happened to you, or is that the best way to that you
Yeah.
write, or okay? So,
Yeah, I always say there's truth in everything that I write. Yeah,
hmm
there's a little bit of me. Um, I had a very unusual childhood, so I really related to Cheryl, because I kind of I can relate,
hmm
and so I think my perspective helps a lot of the characters, at least flesh it out. Yeah, and I love music. Did I perform musical
hmm
theater and stuff. So working with Josie, there's
hmm
that
Sure.
heartstring connects there.
Have you done any of the Archie team ups with various musicians? Like there's the Ramones, and there's B-52s, and
I
uh,
wish
Monkeys was one. I forgot all
that
the
would be
different ones.
great.
Have
I can
you
try
written any of
that.
this? Have you?
No.
Oh, what?
No.
Give her the assignment. Who would you want if you could? If you could have the Archies meet whatever group,
Yeah.
who would you
Uh,
like to? Dolly Parton? So, no,
that would be cool.
that actually
I
would be cool, but
already, yeah, I already did a little, um, uh, like a one pager.
Mhm.
I didn't draw her, but it's about Jola, and I'll send it to you. I
Okay.
put it up on the social media.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, that would be great. I would love to do Jolly Parton. Yeah,
hmm
totally.
Um,
I had Deborah Harry in School Bites. I asked her permission. She was in there.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Are you friends
she's.
with her since you were in the Rapture video and
I am
everything?
not
Yeah.
friends with
Oh,
Deborah Harry.
interesting then.
She doesn't
Okay,
even
because you
remember
mentioned her
me.
twice, and I'm like, hmm. Oh yeah, she
She was
lives
very
down
nice to
down
me
the
on my
street. I just went to
birthday.
her house. Yeah. What?
No,
Sorry.
no, 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 no. I mean, it is just there's a story of why I'm in the video was because in high school, my best friend Robert had a terrible crush on her, big, huge crush on her, and we were doing a gong show, and we were going to be Blondie, and he
Mhm,
was Jimmy Destry, and
mhm.
I was Debbie, and we lip sync, which was unusual back then, but we did Dreaming and Rip Her to Shreds. And we painted a huge poster because Robert was also an artist, and we used to draw together. And uh, after the Gong Show, he said, "Can I leave this for Debbie as a gift?"
Mhm.
Because we knew where she lived. When you grow up in Manhattan, you know where everyone is.
Yeah.
So, he rolled it up and left it in her lobby with a little note. And she called him up and asked permission, you know, to use it, and he didn't know it was her. He thought it was me because I would call him going, "Hi, this is Debbie. Robert, how are you?" And we would, and he realized, oh my God, it really is her. And he called me up crying like, "Oh my God, Tipper called me," and she invited us to come watch the video being made, and the director said, "Hey, you want to be in it?" And we're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
So it was just like one of those things. So
Okay.
I'm not her friend. I don't know if she would know me from Boob, but Jim took me to one of her concerts for my birthday, and she was very nice to me and sang Atomic to me from the stage because she sang My Hair Looked Beautiful because that was in the song, and she
Mhm.
sang it to me, and I was very happy. But
Well, I will say I do like those Archie music team ups, and if you do have the opportunity or something to pitch one of them, if you aren't just assigned things, I
bye
think
bye
it'd be
bye bye.
I think it'd be cool if you could do a couple of them or something like that.
I've kind of been building toward the Dolly thing
Yeah, that's
because
like
of seeding the character's love for her. And
yeah.
but yeah, I one of my mutant powers is I can do portraits really well. So it would be a lot of fun for me to draw them in there in that style.
So hopefully. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah, let it happen.
All right. Well, we talked for quite a bit of time about various aspects and movies and different things like that, and various aspects of
Yeah,
your career. I appreciate it very much.
my
And like I said,
thank
I
you.
think I have met you in San Diego. It was years and years ago because, but you look very familiar, and always a pleasure to meet you again, I'll say. Anyway.
Yeah,
And I want to thank Michael Ventrella for kind of reintroducing us and everything like that. This is very
thank
fun,
you, Michael.
Yeah, Michael was my co-author on the couple Monkeys books, and
Who's your
I,
favorite monkey?
Michael Nesmith, and
Interesting.
yeah, he's the one that actually became. I'll tell the story. You don't know it; other people do, but he's the one that kind of made me a Monkeys fan because when the Monkeys were originally on as a kid, I didn't like it. I thought it was stupid, and
Oh,
people always go, "What?" It's like, "No, sorry, I thought the music was okay. I thought the TV show was kind of, as a
yeah.
kid, and other people, what? It's another one of those things where it's like, well, you're supposed to like it. Well, no, I just didn't. Sorry.
Who are these
Okay.
people?
Yeah. But when Nesmith did Elephant Parts in about 1980, 81, and he did a little music videos, some comedy bits and stuff like that, that's where it clicked for me. And I got now initially I thought, oh, he's the funny one, but then after a while I realized, oh no, they're all great, but it took some time. But that's where it kind of all started. And because for me on music, probably similar to yourself, for me to like a musician or a group or a singer or anything, I have to have a little sense of humor in it. If you're just a straight boring singer that's just blah, 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 it's like it's going to be hard for me to like your career. I might like a song or two, but you know,
They have to speak
eh,
to you.
yeah,
Yeah, people
but
like
if
you.
somebody has a sense of humor, like Beatles is a good example. Again, yeah, they do straightforward. I want to hold your hand, big deal. But they also will do something like, my name looks up the number, which is really silly, and I go, okay, and that was even before I saw them in Hard Day's Night or Help or whatever. You
Right.
just the music. And it's like, so Monkeys were the same way. It's like, okay, I knew they could be funny on the record because they had a couple funny records, but yeah, it wasn't until very recently, probably in the last 10, 20 years, that I liked the TV show. It still is not my favorite TV show, but I get it now. It's like I get what they were trying to do, and I really appreciate it on that level. So, you know. Anyway, it's what else? Anything else? Did you want to bring up anything else, or you want to wrap it up, or yeah?
Um, well, like I said, you can find me at
Well, that
hollysheart.net.
Well, hold on. That would be my next lead-in question. It's like, so at this point, I want to leave it to my guests to like promote what comics are coming out from you, either with you or from Jim, or anything you want to promote, any websites, any other projects you're working on that you can discuss. How people can contact you if they have any questions, or any shows you're showing up to, comic conventions or otherwise, or anything like that. So Have the
Not
floor.
this year, no more. We're finished for the year. We stay in the studio drawing more than go out on the road. But yeah, you can find me at hollysheart.net. JimBallon.com is where you can find the lion's share of Broadsword Comics. You can find us on Facebook, Holly Witch there, on Instagram, Broadsword Comics. I don't do Twitter. Everyone's too angry for me, or X, or whatever they call themselves now. Let's see. Then working with Archie, upcoming, there's the Sabrina Spectacular that I drew, penciled. I'm working on something I can't tell you. I finished the Josie. I'm trying to think of what already came out, what didn't come out yet. So, but you can find a lot of my stuff, what I'm working on Holly's Heart. And I do lots of posts on Facebook and Instagram. I'm easy to chat with. Let's see. And oh, yeah, it's gonna be my birthday soon.
When's your birthday? When's your
September
birthday?
1st.
All right. We'll say happy birthday. This will probably air after that because, I'm a few weeks ahead, so I'm probably mid-September when this probably goes up. But, we'll say an early and a belated happy birthday. So,
Thanks very much. Jim just
yay.
had his birthday, so
Yay. My birthday's
we're
in December. So,
December.
yeah. So,
Are you Sag or a Capricorn?
I'm a Sag. So,
Cool.
December 15th, 66 is when I was born.
Nice. I was born September 1st, 1964.
Ooh, it's the same year as my sister, but my sister was born on Groundhog Day, February 2nd.
And I was born near Labor Day.
Oh, that's right. It's near Labor Day.
So it's rough being on a holiday.
Was it a Labor Day with the day you were born?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. It would
I
be
was born on a
kind of funny,
Wednesday.
In her day, of course, it's every year it's Groundhog's Day. So when that movie came out, she loved it. She was like, "It's Groundhog's Day." So anyway,
easy to get gifts for her.
Yes.
Little woodchucks.
Anyway, I just saw her this weekend too when I traveled. She lives in Bakersfield. She came out to visit and stuff like that. So it's cool. So
Groovy. And enjoy your vacation.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yay.
this was really fun. Probably when that secret project comes out, we may have you back and you can discuss it then, or if you know when it's coming out, then we can kind of have another show. This is really great. Maybe have Michael on the show too, or maybe have Jim on the show too, or all of us. It doesn't
You
matter.
know where I am.
All right.
Easy to find.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you, Holly. Holly G, Holly Golightly.
Yeah, Holly.
And for being my special guest. And we will see you next time on the Fun Ideas podcast.
And may the force be with you.